Alright, I'm back with Gamer is DC. Um, and we're gonna be doing the part 2 of the Gwen versus Ando Showmatch review. Um, let's see. So previously we did I think the first 3 Berbers versus Huns. No, the first 4 actually. Berbers versus Huns, Lithuanians versus Franks, and then I'm doing this out of order. Sorry, Mayans versus Japanese, then Lithuanians versus Franks. That was the acquiring the 3-0 lead. And then Ando made a comeback and just kicked my ass with the Italians, and I played very poorly on that one. And kind of was a rude awakening. The next match is going to be on Atacama, which is my home map. I picked it because I believe that Ando, from playing Ando previously, the only time I beat him was when I was very aggressive in the early game, and I did enough eco damage to him with feudal pressure. And Atacama is an open map. It's hard to defend on. And it's hard to wall reliably. Your wood line's very exposed, etc. So I figured that was going to be in my favor. If he was open and I could attack him and pressure him and hopefully overwhelm him and set him back early, rather than letting it develop into a full-blown game. That's at least why I picked that map. The Showmatch at this point had gone kind of differently, and I actually, because of civs and map and things, actually ended up playing very defensively, at least early on, as the Lithuanians, and as well as the Mayans. And actually, in the early game, got completely overwhelmed by Ando's archer pressure as the Italians. So yeah, what do you think about the Civ matchup here? As I'm gonna load up it in Capture Age.
So the matchup here was Goths versus Magyars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's do a quick run through of both the civs. So Goths do not have any eco bonus. They only get villagers that do more damage to the ball faster, and they also get cheaper costing infantry.
Mm-hmm.
So every age up it gets cheaper, and they also have an inbuilt cheaper arson as well. So that means that they are a civ that actually prides on infantry pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have very good flexibility in their strategy. They get fully upgraded castle age, knights, and crossbows, which means that they can actually switch very easily between knights and crossbows, which are normally the units of choice in castle age. But they can also add very, very strong pikemen into their mix, because their pikemen are going to be cheaper, which also means that they're going to be very, very handy against knights in general. So I would say that Goths versus Magyars. Magyars get the cheaper scouts, but more importantly, they also get free attack upgrades on their melee units. So that's gonna play very strong. They also can kill wolves in one strike, which you probably won't really see it doing here. But the scary thing about Magyars is really like they have very flexible opening as well up to Castle Age. I actually do give the advantage to Magyars in this matchup up to Castle Age.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the Magyars is able to pressure the Goth player, then the Goth player won't be able to get into Huskarls. Yeah. They won't be able to counter most of the lineup that Magyars can make. They won't be able to make pikes, counter knights, because they won't have the eco to make those units. So basically, up till early Castle Age, I would say Magyars is at an advantage.
I agree.
So in this matchup, you really want to be aggressive. Actually, in this map in general, either player that takes to that takes wood while denying the other player of wood, at the same time having more feudal army is usually at an advantage. So you will rarely ever see fast castles on this particular map. You also will rarely ever see non-aggressive strats. So there's only one instance where you don't really see that, and that was Archer v Archer. That matchup is a bit funny, I would say, on AndotheCommando, because usually one player will go towers instead of archers. So all in all, you would really just see a lot of feudal aggression on this map in particular. And I actually thought that Endo was going to do Bulgarians on this, just because Bulgarians actually have a better opening than any other Civ that Endo had. But I totally understand if he wanted to do a Civ Bulgarians for later.
It's funny you say that when we were drafting the Civ. I was actually planning to use Bulgarians on this map. That I beat in a previous show match. I beat Kiera or Betafish as the Bulgarians on Atacama, and that's partially why I picked this map. That was another situation where I was like, here is a beast late game, so I wanted to make sure that I killed him early, and so I used that map and I used Bulgarians, and so I actually agreed that Bulgarians would have been a good pick. Unfortunately, he got the Bulgarians in the Civ draft, and as we know, I sniped Mayans.
So of the Civs you have that, if I remember correctly, you had Teutons, you had Goths, and you had one more Civ.
Bohemians. Yeah.
Bohemian. So actually, I would say Bohemians is the best choice on AndotheCommando of the remaining Civs you have.
Gotcha.
Because Bohemians have cheaper blacksmith, cheaper monastery, cheaper university, which means that they are going to have very solid archer opening, and I would generally favor archer or strong man-at-arms openings on this map. Scouts openings can work, but only if you're able to do the aggression in the correct way. Because your opponent can wall, your opponent can get spears, your opponent can mess up a crossbow army to stop your cavalry pressure. So that's why you normally don't see that many cavalry civs on this map. You normally see a lot of archer civs or a lot of civs that have very versatile openings. So Magyars is another example of a civ that can have very versatile openings. So you can open archers, but then you can tech into knights, for example.
Well, no, I wish you had told me that before the show match, because I'm kidding. One of my first big mistakes, though, was thinking like Magyars. Okay, that's going to be scout opening because of the free attack, and that was not the case. And it's possibly what I wouldn't have done against Goths either, because of exactly like they have the cheaper spears. My best successes against Goths have been, with early archer pressure. And then you switch into something else if they survive, past early castle.
So I would say that you should try and get out of the mentality that no civ can open archers. Because actually every civ in the game can open archers. In fact, every civ can open archers, scouts / eagles, or men-at-arms. Any civ can do that. The only reason why you don't see some civs do that is because of castle age, like leading up to castle age. But I've done Bulgarian men-at-arms into archers and knights. So after I do my pressure with archers, I just switch into knights, because I've done enough eco damage with my archers, and just switch completely into 2 stable knights. Because my eco is setting up for 2 stable knights. But I open archers after man-at-arms to slow the opponent even further. So, like I said, always be wary of what your opponent is making. That's why in the last few games I reviewed with you, I've always told you to scout your opponent's opening. Like, what does he make in feudal? Because what he makes in feudal is going to dictate how he is going to play for the rest of the game.
Alrighty. Let's see. Do you have the matchup?
Yep, I have it open.
I'm at 6 seconds.
Okay, by your count.
Before I take this is relevant. Ando has already started his 2 houses. I don't know what it was. I was just like slow to react, or I misclicked. 6 seconds in, I'm putting down my first house foundation, and Ando, I think, is basically already moved his two villages. Not a huge difference, but I I'm
So
still like lagging in terms of play, and I vaguely remember. I don't remember what caused that, but if you look at my opening, I'm sitting there for like 5 seconds doing nothing.
So I would say that rarely ever, unless it's a very serious big idol whoop, it's not a really big deal. Cause even at my even higher than my level, sometimes you can see people forget about how to mine start, forget that Hans cannot get archers.
Yeah.
Like you will still see this kind of inefficiencies all the time, but uh the most important thing is really what you do with the rest of your game. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, like let's say I've mentioned this story many times. You lose 3 views to ball. So what? You still if you still put on pressure correctly with archers, then nobody will remember that you lost your 3 views to the ball.
Yeah.
You got lamed, but you fight off your opponent's men at arms, and you can fight off your opponent's archers, and then you get up to castle edge earlier. No one will think that you got lamed in the first 5 minutes of the game. The only really thing that really concerns is how you play the rest of the game after your mistakes. That's why higher rated players are so good. It's not because that they're just good. It's more like, oh, they may make one mistake, but they will make sure not to make the other 8 or 9 mistakes that follow after the first mistake,
Yeah.
because they practice a lot. Or they can just have a completely horrible dark age feudal age. But then when castle age hits, right, they just exert the right amount of aggression and they just kill their opponent.
I
So it looks like
have
they weren't even losing the entire time.
I have done that like a couple of times. This is not a time that I do. This is very much a time where I make one mistake and then I tend to. I think I make the remaining 7 or 8 mistakes down along the road. But I know what you're talking about, and it does make for entertaining games when like you get lamed or you're at a disadvantage in the early game and you manage to come back. But okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do the countdown and get this rolling.
Mhm.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
So I would say that I cannot remember what happened in Dark Age for this, but I would say that your map looks decent. Your primary goal is in a pretty awkward position, but your berries
Oh
is near the
god.
back of your base, which means it's okay to retreat your bills or be prepared for any aggression. Uh, your goal is to the south and to the east of your base, but the pile of gold and stone to the right is actually quite close to each other, so you can actually rally villagers to defend. Like if you put a tower down between them, you can actually defend both the gold and the stone. Deer is also not bad. You get 4 deer on this map. But the most important thing is your wood line is a lot better than his. So your wood line leading to the center of the map is actually better than his. His wood line is actually very rough.
I see
In fact,
that.
I've never. You will see later, but his wood line, where he puts the lumber camp is actually really horrible. So
I think
that
I'm.
one that one
Yeah, so I actually do the same. I start with a wood camp. Do I? Okay, do I delete? Yeah, I delete this wood camp. Here, I'm still feeling like, oh, god damn it. That's right. And so I move my wood camp to the center of the map. It was like I forgot I was on AndotheCommando for a second. But he's doing the same thing. He's actually committing to the small wood line lumber camp. And you agree that that's a
so
bad call, right?
So it depends on your strategy. If you go for scouts or men at arms, the wood camp on the outer wood line is still okay. If you're going archers, yeah, the wood camp on the outside is a lot. You're gonna run out of wood very quickly if you do that. You're better off going for the center very quickly. And I know that in this matchup, like, cause we were talking about it in the cast actually, that if you want to do 4 on wood, right, it's better to put the center wood line. But if you take the border wood line, yeah, if scouts show up, then you're in trouble, because you cannot protect both the center wood line and the outer wood line at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So what I personally like to do is I like to open scouts on this map, unless I know my opponent is the infantry safe, in which case I open archers. So in this matchup, I would say you open what I like to call the default 21 pop. That means you click up at 21 pop, you build your barracks at the usual time, and then after that you click up, and then you decide what you want to do based on how your opponent has reacted. Oh yeah, this scout does almost kill the bill here.
Oh god.
And he
And
actually
gets away! And gets away! Ah, that pissed me off so much.
yeah, but one bill difference I would say isn't too bad. I would say you made a slight mistake because you're normally supposed to click loom straight away when you play golfs because their research time for loom is non-existent. So
I was probably housed, or
no, loom doesn't actually take any time to research for golf. So you basically research loom straight
right.
away.
Did
You
I
click the loom button and you just boom straight away.
did I not press it until later?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how you lost the bill actually.
God,
Normally you cannot
okay.
pick off. Normally you cannot pick off golf, Mayans, or
Wow.
Chinese bills because they will normally have a loom very early, unless they're going for a greedy castle build, fast castle build. In which
Yep.
case they actually will take loom. Oh wait,
I must
actually
have
not for
forgotten
Mayans,
about that.
maybe not for Mayans.
And I also had a
Yeah, but
chance to
generally
like grab that
you.
scout, and I didn't.
I mean, it's fine. Like I said, the most important thing when you play AndotheCommando is really seeing your opening time of your enemy. So I don't know whether anybody told you this, but you can see that you're scouting the back of your base right now, and you still haven't really scouted your opponent. 7 minutes in, he builds a barracks at this time. If he was going man at arms, right, and you spot the barracks at this timing, you will know it's man at arms.
Well,
Which
I
is
just got the
very
rest of those
frustrating.
sheep in it by the looks of it.
Yeah, so if you cannot find your sheep, because I know you look pretty far for those sheep, right? If you cannot find the sheep, just screw the sheep and just go for and scout your opponent. Because it's 7 minutes in, you've already put in your second ball, but you haven't seen what your opponent is making, and that's a very big mistake.
Mm.
So, like I said, on Atacama, basically any map actually, not even just Atacama, you really want to see what your opponent is making. So, like last few games that are not close. So hideout I can pardon not being able to see because he kind of made his military building in a hard to see place. So you actually couldn't scout that. Like the first time you ran through Endo's base in hideout, you didn't see anything. So I think that's fine because like I said it's hideout. So you actually don't want to scout for too long. But on any other map, you really want to scout your opponent. You want to see what building he's making. And the most important, like I said, the most important thing is the timing of the barracks. So if you see a barracks earlier than 6, like if you see a barracks at 6 minutes, you can be very confident it's a drush. Or you see a barracks at like 7 minutes, then you might be man at arms. Any later than 6 or 7 minutes of the barracks timing you see, is probably going to be archers or scouts. So that's why I said scouting your opponent is very important. So far Endo hasn't really seen any building that you need also. So that's also a mistake on his part. But as for you, yeah, you not knowing what he was building, you should have just tried to look for him. Like
Mm-hmm.
you scouted south, you scouted north. The only place left is east, and he's already clicked up. So, like I said, if you knew what he was making earlier, you would have actually had a leg up. You could have actually prepared for what was coming. Because if you look at Endo's base right now, he doesn't have any feudal buildings as of yet. But now he's just laid down his range. Later on, he will put down a tower, like much later on. So you can actually scout that by checking his stone piles. If there's a mining camp on the stone pile, even if he cancels the mining camp, right? If he has towers, you can pre-tower. Because you will be able to stave off any potential aggression if he committed to it.
Gotcha.
So you got man at arms, you haven't found his wood line just yet. Like I said, yeah, and your scout went to the back of your base. You really wanted to scout the east side. So I feel like your biggest problem so far in most of these games is actually like just not scouting, not being able to scout your opponent. Like you didn't see what your opponent is making. You kind of blind countered based on what your opponent's suits are, which is fine. It's okay, but the higher you go, the more likely people might open differently.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I like to open archers on Magyars when I'm against a Sith that I know I cannot win a scout war with. So like say, if I play against Franks or Lithuanians, I cannot beat their timing. Or Mongols also. So I know that Magyars cannot beat their timing. Their timing will always be faster, or their scouts will be better. So what I do is either I push there and go for an earlier scout opening, which sometimes you can't, like I said, cause like Mongols and Franks, or you just go for
This is yeah. I mean, this is lining up exactly. I've got the scout ahead, but like he's got 2 ranges, and I'm coming forward with a 3 men-at-arms and a spearman, anticipating like on assumption that he's going to have scouts, and he's already got 2 archers in the base. Should I go back at this point or push the archers?
No.
I did. Okay, I am getting a Vil kill. I think I like. Well, there at least.
But here's the problem. Okay, so here's the problem we talked about in the cast. You didn't need to move your men at arms forward. Like you wanted to send your men at arms into the wood line because for now, right? If you look at your fog of war, you alt left click one of your units and then you press tab. Your opponent's wood line is still open. You can actually see that your opponent's wood line is still open. So instead of chasing after one villager, you really needed to send the army to the wood line to try and idle the wood line. Because you can see Endo isn't paying attention also.
And now that I'm doing that, he's doubled his archer numbers, and I can't do anything.
Yeah, so if you got in there, you lose your men at arms, but you kill a Vil or 2, that's value. Because like even though Endo had the archers there, they couldn't stop the Vil from dying. So you would have gotten value out of that. So instead now your infantry army is running away from the wood line. So your army doesn't achieve anything there. Well, I mean, you could have hit the back of his base.
I think that I was afraid of the archers, so I wanted to flank around and try to do damage elsewhere. But yeah, no, he's just going to come forward with his archers and start causing problems on my wood line. I'm not anticipating that for some reason, and I think I'm going to react and put a tower.
My thing is Endo made a slight mistake because normally you don't go double range in this matchup. You go 1 range Smith and you get fletching fast so that you can kill Vils. That way, right, you see shortly that Endo tries to kill your villagers making the tower on the left side. You will see Endo is going to try and kill your villagers that are making the tower, but because you have Loom and he doesn't have fletching, your archers cannot kill the Vils making the tower. So you're able to get the defensive tower up. Meanwhile, you are causing eco damage behind his base. So this is actually good for you. The problem is your reaction. So you get up skirms, which is fine. You get up skirms to try and stop the archers, that's fine. But what you needed to do next was you needed to start sending villagers to stone, because you will need to lay down more counter towers very shortly. Because you don't know whether your opponent is going to follow up his archers with more towers. Because now he sees skirms. You don't know whether he's going to go scout archers or he's going to go archers and towers. So eventually he goes archers towers. Like I said, this is because you didn't see what he was making. You didn't know what he was going for. But these are the usual follow-ups.
And I see, he's on stone, and that's information that I wasn't aware of or certainly making use of.
Yeah. So I think causing havoc is okay, but you didn't want to use your scout in the attack. Okay, you really wanted to see what he was making. So that's why information is key whenever you play AV2. If you send your scout around the base, but you left your men at arms to try and kill the Vil. I mean, you got a Vil pick off, which is not bad.
I think I got a couple, one here and one here.
Yeah,
but
1 to the left, 2 to the right. But you really needed to send the scout to look around the base, because you don't know what the follow-up is. If he adds a stable and he goes scouts and archers, your skirms can't do anything.
Right.
Your spears won't be able to react in time. So if you scouted the stone, you would have known that this was coming. Another thing that I say is very important is when you have a defensive tower up, start researching Town Watch, because Town Watch gives your buildings +4 vision radius, which means if you look at your vision right now on your wood line, you would have been able to spot the tower coming before it goes up.
Right.
So you can see that he gets it out of fog of war. So that's why you could barely see it. You only accidentally saw it once you sent your villager.
That wasn't intentional. I have no idea, like that was pathing or whatever. I don't know why that villager was outside there.
Yeah, but Endo kind of made a mistake here. Actually, he cancels 2 towers here, which is a really big waste of resources. But because he eventually gets his tower up, you see, if you had gone on stone after building the first tower, if you had gone on stone, then you would have actually been able to stop this tower from going up by counter towering, or by towering the northern side and gaining another wood line. You would have actually been able to secure another wood line basically. But because you didn't go on stone, that really hurt you here.
Yeah.
So like I said, my suggestion is because you lay down a lot of farms. You see, you're receding farms in the back. You don't have enough wood for a wood line to make a lumber camp. You don't have enough wood to make a market to trade for wood as well. So basically, you're just stuck right now. You cannot afford anything right now.
Yeah,
So
that I
even
had
though
felt
like
that.
Endo had a very bad. Endo did very bad on his tower aggression. It ended up working because of the way you spend your resources. See, you're still receding farms behind your base, so that's just killing your wood. That's why the other time yesterday, right? Yesterday I told you don't auto receipt or don't seed farms until you realize that okay, I need the wood for other things. If you're floating a ton of wood, then just use some APM, select the idle villager button and right click those farms.
And here,
Usually
yeah,
you
I'm
really
sending like half of my farm eco to what am I? Oh my god, because I can't make enough. Well, I guess I don't want to make a lumber camp. I'm guessing. I don't know. It's I don't feel like I was in a good situation. I got up to Castle Age, but yeah.
I think this was a panic, honestly. I mean, Castle Age is correct, but you didn't defend at all. So you didn't get up a tower. So he's getting a tower up on the right of your boat. What you do in this situation is you get up a tower on the left boat and you start taking that boat. You don't even put down the mining camp yet. You actually put down the tower first and then you put down the mining camp.
Okay.
Once you secure a source of gold, you can trade for wood. So basically, it's just like very bad management of wood on your part. Like you pretty much just panic your way through this game, all the way until mid Castle Age. Because the way you were spending your wood, the way you were directing your resources, the way like you just like let villagers just fly around the place, it just showed that you were kind of panicking after he towered your wood line. So he caused way more damage than he actually would have if you had actually reacted correctly. So you can see the south side. This is not the critical moment, but later on, you send 2 men-at-arms to the south side, and you saw that the south side had wood to take. You did not put a TC there, and you put a TC on the left side instead. Okay, so this is a preempting the shenanigans that will follow. So like I said earlier, right? If you got on stone the moment you lay down your first tower, there are two advantages. One, you can lay down a defensive tower on your other resources once your opponent starts pushing forward with his archer aggression. Two, even if you don't spend that stone on the tower, you are saving up stone for a castle. And what do Gauls have? They have Huskars, a very strong castle unit. So regardless, going on stone the moment you saw the archers would have been a great choice, because you know your opponent's opening 2 range. Now you can just get a castle up and you can start preparing for Huskars. So instead, what you do is all your villagers are spread out and they're not spending the wood properly. You see, no TC on the southern wood line, no TC on the stone. You're just spending your resources on the barracks and the archery range, and you can't even produce from them right now.
Yeah.
So overall, it's just like the panicking that you did was just how you just slow died to Endo. Because like honestly speaking, before the archers hit the left side, your view count was looking even because you didn't click up the pass.
I had no response to this military here. I was hoping to buy myself time with skirmishers or whatever and make a counterattack with infantry and try to like take back the initiative. You know, okay, he's pressuring me, I'm going to pressure him back. But I don't have the time, and he's getting in so much more damage.
The response to archer pressure as Gauls is to go on stone, get towers up, and then get a castle up. Because you already knew from the very start of the game, actually the very start of Feudal, that he was on 2 range. So you know that he's going to invest in the ranges. So going on stone the moment you saw the 2 ranges and getting up a tower in your wood line would have been a perfect response.
Right.
Because then, if you go on stone, you defend your wood line. Okay, so this is a hypothetical scenario as we watch your skirms fight the archers under the tower while you use a patrol microing this. The hypothetical scenario is you go on stone, you defend your wood line, right? So you're still taking wood, you lay down farms as per normal, you click up to Castle Age before your opponent because he's going 2 range archers. And he's going towers as well. So even if he aggressive towers, you can counter tower. Like just have like 5 or 6 villagers, you start counter towering him because you're on stone. So even if your castle is delayed, you're still defending your eco from his units. So you click up the castle before him, and if you're at a market down, you buy your castle, you put on your castle on a nice resource. So let's say the gold and stone to the north of your base. You put a castle there, and then you start making Huskars. You force a night transition, and then you tech into pikemen. And during that whole time, you will not have needed to spend any resources on elite scum or any of the upgrades. You only needed to make 2 units, Huskarls and Pikemen, and then from there you just slowly but surely storm Endo with a superior army comp, which is Huskarls and Pikes, and that's how you win the game. But to reach that point, you would have had to stop the tower aggression from doing anything. You would have had to, you would basically have had to secure your resources and still be able to make armor. You didn't do either, so that's why the Goths really weren't that great here. So now you can see your entire army flocked to the south, right? And they're walking through, and that southwood line is fresh for the taking, but you didn't send anything there. So if you had sent villagers there to put down the TC, because now you have a market, right? You send villagers there, put a TC down there, and you start going and you start rebuilding your eco, then you actually would have been a very good spot. Because right now Endo is just like slow pushing you to death, and you could have stopped it if you had reacted correctly. I would say that the rate that you do here is okay because you slowed down his eco, but at the end of the day, right, he's killing your eco harder than you're killing his.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the response is okay, but the defensive response is not so good.
Yeah.
And like I said yesterday, your elite scum would need every single upgrade in order to fight back what he's making.
Yeah. No, I like what you're saying in as the Goths, like I want to take this fight in Castle Age and going on stone, denying the feudal aggression with towers, at least to some extent, would have allowed me to get to Castle Age, and especially if I have the stone for a castle, then that gives me, free Huskarls as as soon as I hit castle, which shuts all of this down, and I can work with Pikes and Huskarls, which is, that's the Goths thing. And instead, I'm trying to tech into elite skirmisher in early castle while trying to grab resources from everywhere. I wanted to secure the gold line with this TC, because I don't know, it's gold. But yeah, here he can, at this point, he can just push me off of wood, and he's pushed me off of half of my food eco anyway.
Yeah, that's why I say that if you had prepared ahead of time and you actually TC'd the southwood line, you would have been no problem at all. You would have actually recovered quite well. Because if you look at the south of your map, you can actually see a gold pile far down to the south. You can see a stone pile far to the west.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I could have secured sort of the southern wood line and that gold with a TC and something.
Yeah. So I mean, like, if you look at your vision, okay, you don't actually see the gold, but it's unfortunate. But yeah, like I said, if you basically send villagers to the southwood line a little earlier, and you send a few boosts to the stone earlier, then you would have been in no problem. Like I said, investing in scum is so expensive, and over the long term, unless you have a bonus for your scum, investing in scums is not so good.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, really not worth it. Yeah, and then you cancel your mining camp, you put on a town center instead, which is gonna burn more of your stone, putting you further away from building a castle. So yeah, like, it was really a slow death, honestly, and the one that you didn't need to go through if you played the feudal a little bit better. But that's okay. We all have bad days. Like I said, Endo played that very well in a way because he put up aggression to the tower. He got his archer numbers going around your base, sniping dudes. So it's not that Endo wasn't playing well. It's just that you were playing a lot worse. I think if you made the right decisions in the late feudal, it would have been a more even fight.
Yeah, I think just like, aside from the reactionary tower, just going on to stone probably never crossed my mind, and it should have. I need to do that. It would have been a much better decision than skirms. Like skirms versus Magyars is asking for them to just kind of click the scout button twice and then you lose all of your military.
Yeah. Basically, just take note of the sieves with a strong unique unit. That way if your opponent starts towering right and you go on stone, at least if you don't counter tower, you still have a unique unit that you can fall back on. Because unique units are unique units for a reason. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But those that are good are usually very expensive. So let's say, so the unique units that you can really think of making after you put down a castle in Castle Age are Conquistador, Plume Archers, what else? Arambai,
Yeah,
and Mangudai.
yeah, but I
So
hate
these are some
Burmese.
of the. Yeah, I know you hate Burmese, but I'm just giving an example because if your opponent goes on stone, but he only lays like only one tower down,
You
then
don't have
alarm
to.
bell should ring in your head
You don't have
because
Teutonic Knight on this list. Also, hi Jabber.
I would say Teutonic Knight is not so important.
I'm just joking. Teutonic Knight, yeah, no, it is not an opening unit. Teutonic Knight is, if you ask me, it has its place. You force an opponent into this. If you are able to force an opponent into basically melee fighting, like over responding with say pikes, or like fighting in their base, Teutonic Knights are great. Teutonic Knights are great to defend castles from rams. They're great to like get a few out around a castle so they can sort of raid a base if you're forward castling, and they're nice if you've used knights to force your opponents into pikes. Because then they have to switch into archers to deal with Teutonic Knights, and yeah, I would never open with Teutonic Knights really.
Mm. The only exception I would say to opening Teutonic Knight is if you're in a castle versus castle drop scenario, then you get one Teutonic Knight with a ram. That is the only exception I can think of. Like it's a very specific build order of a castle drop into siege plus Teutonic Knight push. That's the only scenario I will see them really being utilized correctly. Otherwise, yeah, like they're not a unit that you can really go to and say, oh, I can win the game if I mess up a couple of these units.
Mm-hmm.
There are a
Yeah,
couple of units in the game that unique units in the game that I get a decent mess I can actually do fine. So those units are like Conquistador, Arambai, No Archers,
ranged
those are
units. Yeah.
examples.
Yeah.
Well,
Ando
not
says
really. I
he's
mean,
genuinely surprised with how late I went on Stone. Yeah, I don't know. That's some. I think that's just something that I need to sort of work into my thought process, because I don't think I go on stone as much as I should, or really know when to go on stone. I only go on stone when I've already like premeditated like I'm gonna castle drop or something like that. Tower defense and tower wars or whatever are not my strong suit. In fact, I think before the show match, Chef joked that he was going to tell you to just tower rush me every game.
yeah, I think your response to a tower rush needs work. So I can tell you the theoretical opening of a tower rush, but if you want to do a practice, you have to do it another day. So what you do on a
I've
tower
watched
rush?
the entire Hera's entire video on response to Tower Rush, but his response seems to be give ground and go to other resources. And every single damn time I've done that, they just build like 5 more towers on all of the other resources, and then I'm dead.
So it's really a matter of knowing where your opponent is going to put his next tower. So technically there is a bit of merit to what Hera is saying, but like I said, when he puts down the first tower, right, and you move to the other resources, you have to understand how far does your opponent commit to a tower rush? Because genuinely speaking, right, if unless he gets very lucky, like he towers like 2 resources, then you're still fine. So in this case, right, Endo targeted your wood, and then later he targeted your gold. So you still had stone in the north, stone in the left, gold in the left. So technically, you still had quite a couple of resources to work with. So
And
there are
I
2 ways to deal with a tower rush. The first way is to batter down the tower aggressively. So if your opponent does not have army, he only has villagers, you send your villagers forward, you batter down the tower. If you have army there, that's good, you can help kill the villagers as well. and then you deny the tower goes down, so goes his resources. The other thing you do is you counter tower. So you get up on stone. So you counter tower when your opponent has as army basically. You would have actually reacted by going on stone. The first time you saw the first tower go up, you immediately send villagers to stone. The very left stone, not the right stone, but the right stone is still open to attack and it's near where your opponent is towering. So you run to the stone at the left side of your base, which you already scouted. You put down a mining camp and you send 4 or 5 bills there, and then you pre-tower your gold so that he cannot take your gold because he already took your wood. So you pre-tower your gold or you pre-tower the south wood line, and then you're safe until you reach Castle Age. Up till then, every other resource is still open to attack. And like I said, because you spend your wood on farms instead of on a market or a second lumber camp, you basically just had no resources to do anything up until early Castle Age. So even though you clicked up faster, you didn't really do anything with the faster castle.
The Castle Age was, I think all I did militarily speaking was like get longsword and skirmishers, and that just I made a desperate raid, and that wasn't enough, and the skirmishers, still need well, I got the text by the looks of it, but I didn't have the numbers. And
so, if you remember in Mayans versus Japanese game, Endo went longsword skirm as a defensive measure, and that is the scenario where you can go longsword skirm. But in this scenario, if you want to go for an attack, you don't make longsword. You tag into knights. I mean, you already, because like, here's the thing: knights cost slightly more gold than the longsword, but they are faster, they have more health, and more importantly, it forces Endo to defend his home, because longswords will die to a TC, but knights with +2 won't die to a TC. They can still kill bills under the TC actually. So like I said, you build production buildings, but you never really made from them. So to me, that's just a waste of wood. You really needed to put your wood into better. Like you need to put your wood to better use in this game.
I probably built the second barracks because I knew I was going to lose this one, and I don't know. I guess I was wanting to do something with infantry pressure and raiding, but that ended up being wasted wood, and I mean really, and I was losing the archery range as well, and like I was producing units out of like underneath Tower Fire and then later underneath the castle. So I did need more military buildings, but I needed towers and a castle first. A castle would have gone a long way. Forget the military buildings, just produce some Huskarls and change up the situation. Huskarls would have done fine as raiding too.
And though when I review the games with you, because you asked me the other day, when I review the games to you, I'll talk to you more about what you could have done better. But for now, I'm looking at Gwen's game and I'm seeing how she can improve from her point of view. Alright, so the last game. Technically, it would have been the second to the last game if it went on. So walk me through your thought process. So you had Teutons.
So Teutons and Bohemians. Let me go ahead and pull up the game. Okay.
Alright.
Start watching. My map was Ghost Lake. Where's the pause button? Okay, there we go. I'm paused at 5 seconds in. So my home map was Ghost Lake, and I'm feeling a little bit. I felt a little bit cheeky. There was a reason why I didn't go on this one until now, and that was I viewed Ghost Lake as sort of kind of gimmicky. I don't see it in the ranked ladder. But I learned probably the hard way that there's sheep in the middle of the lake. And
well, everybody had a hard time the first time they see a map, so I don't blame you for that. Okay, so let's walk through your thought process on Ghost Lake. Why Ghost Lake?
So, um, I think originally Ghost Lake because I'm going to think, okay, I'm on Ghost Lake. It's my home map. I know the map. I'm going to beeline for the lake, and grab up as many sheep, and then that's going to be my food supply till I get in Castle Age. But I don't know, and I haven't actually seen the replay of this game, so I actually don't know. I asked my fiance who had seen this game after, and she said that Ando got basically just as many sheep as I did. So I don't know how big of a role that the map played, but the Civ is where I think. Like that was my idea when I picked the map. The civs is what it really came down to. So I had Teutons and I had Bohemians, and he had Bulgarians and he had Sicilians. And with how things were going in the feudal and early castle, I know my sort of like thought process with Bohemians, but I wasn't feeling comfortable pulling off that many transitions. With Bohemians, I like to open men at arms and then go crossbows with chemistry. And that's great if you're on their woodlines. You can do so much damage offensively with crossbows, if you get the right numbers. But, what if he goes... I think I was really afraid of him picking Sicilians. And just going into knights in that situation, because then I have to transition into pikes, and I don't know. I like the unit composition that Bohemians can get to, but I wasn't feeling like I was going to be able to pull that off. So I went for the much more like comfortable civ of Teutons, which is a little bit more straightforward. And I thought would work well with a little bit better with the map, given that I was going to be playing food-centric early on, and going into knights. Whether or not he went into Bulgarians or Sicilians, I would be okay taking a knight fight against either of those civs as the Teutons. I have the extra armor, and I'm going to be focusing on my eco just a little bit. On Ando said,
Okay, so while you read through the message, let me talk you through my thought process on this map and then the civs.
Okay.
Okay. So on this map, it's a very tricky map. Okay. This on the surface looks, oh, you get sheep in the middle. Let's take the sheep and you do aggression. No, on this map, this is a map that favors staying in your base, booming up, and then hitting later with very strong Imperial Army comp. In a way, it's almost like the way Arena originally was meant to be played. Before the clowns decided, let's do some Castle Age aggression shit. So let me explain why you boom on this map. On this map, you get sheep in the middle. You also get a nice resource pile at home. So you can see both you and those maps have 3 piles of gold and 2 piles of stone. Okay, actually 1 pile of stone for you. Actually, you do have a second pile of stone, but it's pretty far out. So you both of you have strong to very high amount of resources. You have 5 wood lines, so does Endo. You also grab the sheep in the middle. So what you do in this map is you go FC into aggression or boom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me explain. Okay, and the other thing is also because if you look at both of your maps, a very small wall can cover everything, all the resources, all the 5 wood lines and all the gold and stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you wall up, all those resources are yours. Now, let me explain so that's the rough strategy. Let me explain what happens in Castle Age. In Castle Age, you go up fast, and then you get your TCs up, and depending on the matchup, you either want to add it in Castle Age or move on to Imp. So in Endo's case, he actually cannot move on to Imp. Why? Because Teutons over the long term cannot be pushed against, because they have crenellations, which means that their castles have bigger range on their castles, and you cannot siege that. You actually need. Oh, they also get free murder holes. Let's not forget.
Does fully upgraded Teuton Castle, can that range a trebuchet?
It can.
Really?
But that's the only siege unit that Endo can make to kill your castle. Bulgarians do not get bombard cannon, if
Okay.
I recall correctly, and that is a big problem.
Okay, so the Castle Age can or cannot range the trebuchets? I actually don't know.
The castle can range trebuchet if they have. Sorry. Gotcha. Trebuchets and bombard cannons are the only thing that can range the castle. But with the castle range crenellations, only trebuchet can kill the castle.
Okay.
Not even Turk BBC. Turk BBC is the only other thing with the upgrade that can range a Teuton castle, because it has +2 range and siege engineers. So basically, your Endo's only option to kill your castles will be trebuchet, and that is not favorable, because all Teutons need to do is send an army of paladins, clear the trebuchet, run back, and keep up, like basically keep themselves alive. So basically, Endo really should have pushed in late Castle Age or even early Castle Age if he could do it, if he had the confidence to do it. Because like I said, Teutons get higher armor knights, they get higher armor infantry. Teutons also get better siege and more defensive castles. They also get better boom because their farms cost cheaper than the Bulgarians. The Bulgarians, what Bulgarians like for defensive power, they compensate with aggression. So they can lay down creepos, which is cheaper than castles and allows him to push you before you can answer. They also get conics, which are actually pretty strong against Teutonic knights, the normal knights, not the unique unit. And Bulgarians also get CA, which is actually the best counter unit against Teutons. But
Right.
Is, like I just mentioned to Endo, because he couldn't tag into CA and he never got a mass going, he just couldn't use CA in this game, which would have otherwise helped out. And like I said, because it's a very defensive map, it's a very defensive boom map, you had to hit the CA earlier or not at all. So basically, Endo just really needed to. Endo shouldn't have played defensive in this game. He actually should have committed to aggression and pray that he can actually kill you before you reach late imp.
I think he. I thought he did make an attack during Castle Age, but at that point I was playing very defensively at that point.
So when he went forward with the knights later, actually, let's get the
game so I'm at 5 seconds in, and I'm gonna play in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the first thing you do on Ghost Lake is actually to send your scout to find the starting ship, then run to the middle as soon as you can. So the reason why is because you want to secure as much ship as possible. So your starting ship, you send it to find the ball. Once they find the ball, you can send it back. And then your starting scout just finds every ship that it can. So your fiance said that you guys found the same amount of ship. Actually, you had like maybe 2 or 4 more ship than Endo.
Okay.
You already had the farm bonus. So, but that's not really very important. The most important thing is actually how you play the rest of the game.
Okay.
So, the reason why, like I said, the reason why I don't like opening scouts on this map is because if you send your villager out to pre-war early, you will actually cover your entire map and all the resources that you can protect. So I generally will not favor scouts play. I will only favor man-at-arms towers or fast castle into castle drop. These are the 2 strategies I would see for aggression.
Tell me again why you didn't favor scouts.
Because by right, if both players understood how to play this map, they would have war at 4 minutes, and it will war everything.
Okay.
Okay, because like I said, this is a boom map. This is not a map where you go aggression. This is not a map where you go Magia 20 scouts in feudal age. Unless you're feeling very frisky and you open the war in your opponent's face. But you generally do not want to open aggression here unless you manage to open aggression, like let's say you kept a hole in your opponent's base for the entire dark age. And then Feudal Age comes, you hit your scouts at like maybe 19 prop, and then you go in and kill all the villagers. That's the only time you can really say, oh, I did an aggression play. It's like, no, you didn't do an aggression play. You denied your opponent of his walls for a solid 5 minutes, and then you just send scouts in. That's just a regular. Oh, I made use of my opponent not walling up. But like I said, if both of you play this map correctly, right, by 10 minutes, right, you would have actually been full wall. So that's why I say like
I'm watching my scout in pain because I'm actually I'm not getting as many sheep as I took. I think I took 2 of Ando's early on, and now I just lost 2 of the center sheep. So and my scout's just sitting there idle because I was pulling in the boar.
Yeah, so like I said, if you have the APM to pull it off, that's nice. If you don't, don't.
Oh, maybe I get them back. We'll see. Nope. Okay.
You're better off doing the other stuff. So like I said, you put your second ball a little late, and you got your mill up a little late as well. So that's gonna kill your eco time a bit. But like I said, you have played 5 games of AOE before this, so a bit of inefficiency is to be expected. But what I didn't like is you didn't wall. So like I said, scouts play should not be allowed. Like if you play this, if you wall earlier, you would have been able to stop the scouts from entering your base, because I think they do later on. I'm not very sure. I cannot remember. But yeah, like if you do not find any sheep in the middle, that's totally fine. Because like I said, Coast Lake is a bit RNG with whether you find the sheep or not. But as long as you can snag like 4 sheep, then you're fine. It doesn't matter if your opponent has more, because the game plan is that you click up to castle at a very decent time of maybe 15 minutes, and you start booming, or you go for some super aggressive strat like castle drop. So it doesn't matter if you only find like a few sheep, because the main plan is wall up and go castle or man at arms towers. So the only reason why like the scouts opening was okay here was because both of you opened scouts. Normally, if one player opens scouts and the other player goes for an FC with walls, the guy with the FC walls, right, will just destroy.
Is Ando luring, stealing my boar?
Yeah. So Ando actually tried to lame you in this game.
What?
Oh, you didn't realize? Yeah.
No.
So,
what? Ando, why?
So if you actually look at the fog of ball on your side, you can actually see the ball running away. The problem is Endo kind of messed up the ball pool after a while, so the ball started walking back, and I think you just didn't realize that he actually tried to take.
Yeah, no,
You can see the ball de-aggros because
my
ball de-aggros because it has 3 tiles of vision.
Yeah.
It has 3 tiles of vision, and Endo walked into the 4th tile without realizing, because he's doing his eco at the back. So he just lets the ball walk back. But the problem is,
Ando, this is why I have trust issues. I'm pretty sure I was like saying like, no, I just saw my boar there. Where is it? I'm probably scouting around like a lunatic trying to find my second boar because it wasn't there. And now look, now it's there again.
So I would say that if Ando pulled it off, I think he would have been very ahead. But I think this has cost enough idle time for you, and this will delay your build by quite a bit. So well played, Endo, for this. It would have been really nice if you actually got the ball to your base, but yeah, I mean like it's the 6th game of the series. I can understand if both of you are tired. So let's talk about the plan in footage. So like I said earlier, if Endo opened Man at Arms towers in this, I think he would have actually crushed you, because of the 5 piles of resources I mentioned earlier, gold and stone.
We've got 3 right in the front. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So if Endo committed to Man at Arms towers, he would have actually destroyed you here, because then he would have denied you of gold and stone. You cannot counter tower. You only have to go at the back. You have to market abuse, and he doesn't. And then he just goes nice, and then he just fights abuse.
Oh god.
So like
I don't like this alternate reality.
Bulgarians, right? In this matchup, you cannot afford to defensive boom in this, because your opponent is going to have a stronger Imperial game than you. So you're better off going for aggression early on, and then after that you transition into you either transition into more eco and then go with Cavalier, or you just flood him with Knight, Siege, Creepos, Monk. And you might say to yourself, but he's Teutons, why would I go monks? The monks are there for healing. And if you convert a Teuton monk, right? If you convert a Teuton knight somehow, right? You get a knight with more physical armor, which will be really good in that matchup. So yeah, go for the monks, even if it's Teutons. Oh yes, and your wall to the right was a bit off. You could have actually walked to the edge of the map, but I guess you didn't scout, so you didn't know that it was actually a wallable to the edge of the map. It would have been you would have been able to secure your resource. But you can see, right? Endo's front of the base is still not walled. Oh yes, Endo, I need to talk to you about that. We need to talk about you not walling the front of your base, because I also realized that's a thing that you do constantly. You wall the sides of your base. That's great. He can't attack from the sides, but he can attack from the front. So people just walk to the front of your base and then do their pressure. That's why sometimes it's a bit rough to watch you play, because like it's happened a few times. Don't listen to combat, by the way. Combat always says longsword siege, but to get to longsword siege, you need to be ahead. And a lot of times you are rarely ahead in these kind of games. Combat can just say longsword siege because he was meaning up to the point where he hit 1300. Now that he hit 1300, right, people actually know how to play the game. So he can't do that.
Oh, our scouts just miss each other? Do I realize I'm losing my sheep? Okay, I see the scouts now, and I think I pull my scouts back, right? No? No, okay. Oh, no, I'm going ahead with my scouts. I'm going to defend with walling. Yep.
Okay, the Vil gets caught here.
Yeah, the Vil gets caught out, and that's a necessary sacrifice.
Yeah, so I would say that this is correct. If your opponent is attacking you with scouts, you have to send your scout army forward. Because like I said, in the last few games, Endo pre-walled all his stuff. Now he's actually forced to quick wall, which is going to suck his APM. And APM
pushing him off berries.
Is a good play.
So
Endo,
and you're pulling
what
your.
Endo should have done was Endo should have actually run around the base and try and look for more holes in your base. And once he confirms that you are walled up everywhere, then he can stop making scouts and go back to booming.
Okay, one Vil. So I've gotten. We're even on Vils now. I'm running into the spear. Can I get one more Vil? Yes. Okay.
You probably do. Yeah. So like I said, right, normally scouts should not work on this map, but because both of you open scouts, scouts works for the player who did not wall. For the player who walled, and the player who did not wall will die. Like he will lose views.
Well, my thoughts were I could have gone for like a spear defense like I did Lithuanians versus Franks. But I have all of those sheep, and so I'm hoping that that's going to just kind of support a some scout play with all that food, and in
this situation, either you keep flooding him with scouts until he makes enough spears to counter your scout aggression, or you just focus completely on picking up. Because here you're microing your scouts, your macro is slipping. You are actually floating a lot of wood now, so you could have laid down a lot more. Oh yeah, wait, you're Teuton, so that's why your wood isn't really spending that well.
I mean, I'm gonna start putting down lots of farms. Hopefully, I fix that soon.
Oh yes, here's a small thing. Do you know what is long ranging your deer?
Like pushing my deer in?
No. Long range your deer. What this?
Oh, sending villagers out to just go bring the kill the deer and bring them back.
Yeah. So you can see at the right of your base, they are already walled in. So you could have actually taken your deer. You just take off bills of wood. You wouldn't float as much wood, and you actually bring in quite a lot of meat. So you just grab like 4 bills. You just shift right click all the deer meat, and then you can bring the deer meat in. And those are unfortunate because his deer is outside his base, so he can't do that. But since you can do that, it will actually bring in more food than laying down the farms.
Okay.
Yeah. I would only do that. I will only long range my deer if my deer are within my walls or at the back of my base. So that does not just apply for Ghost Lake, that applies for other maps as well, like Arabia, definitely maps like Hideout, and Arena. Well, I wouldn't do Arena because Arena you can still push your deer in, so that's Hideout. But if you have to, then just long range your deer. So I would say so far, Endo is ahead because he's going to pick up the Castle Edge first. Problem is he does not have enough villagers on wood, where he really wants to put down the TC as soon as he clicks up.
Well, I've got 37 vills to his 32.
Yeah, but he's up first. So if he builds a TC as soon as he clicks up, right, he's going to be ahead of Bill shortly after because he clicks up first. So if you were in Endo's position, you would actually take the bills off gold, you put them on wood and food, and you start booming hard. Okay, I think he doesn't do that because he's thinking of going into knights. That's why he doesn't take the bills off gold. But generally speaking, if you're up to castle age first and you know that your opponent made a lot of scouts, you can just lay down the TC and then you just click up straight away. Oh, by the way, Endo, I forgot to mention this, but when you were playing this game, the scout here, the spear here between your gold and your wood line, it actually blocked the position of your TC until, and you didn't get the TC up until like a minute or two later. So that was a bit unfortunate. But next time, just be aware of where you're putting your units. Because yeah, that happens to all of us, including me. So yeah, Endo's up first, which means that he's gonna actually start his boom first. But he didn't. So like I said, if you're up first, and you know your opponent invested a lot of food into scouts, you can actually start your boom first and make a couple of knights to stave off the aggression. So not spending the wood to make the TC was a little bit of a mistake, but yeah, I mean otherwise, I think Endo did.
So it actually, yeah, it looks like Ando's getting Bosaw. Ando, okay, I mean, he's up to Castle Age first, but like I'm looking at the number of, I have twice as many on food and 2 more on gold. Like I have more resources to pump into knights.
Yeah, so that's why I said that he really needed to put down the TC first. Like he needed to save his wood and put down the TC the moment he picked up, or he needed to put down more stables and just start pumping out more knights. Because the thing is, Endo was up to Castle Age a whole 2.5 minutes before you, so that is a lot of time to get boom going, to get knights going. So that's a slight macro mistake, but in the long run, like Endo's decision to stay in his base against Teutons was just not very well done.
And trying to outboom Teutons doesn't. Maybe I don't know. I think there are civs that can definitely compete with the Teuton boom, and have good things going for them aside from that. But Baggins, I would say definitely wasn't a good choice.
No, actually, I disagree. Baggins
Really?
was a good choice. No, okay. Let me explain. Baggins is a good choice because at that point of time, we'll go into that point later. But Baggins is actually a good choice in this because you actually forced Gwen to tag into something else. In the period where she was tagging into something else, if you had pushed forward with your rams with the Baggins two-handed swordsman, you would have actually killed the front of Gwen's base. But the thing is, like I said, you put your siege workshop next to your base instead of towards Gwen's base. So that was that was one of the biggest reasons why like you didn't really do much with your comp. You just sat at home. That's why I said earlier, if you had moved out of your base earlier, you would have actually stood quite a good chance against Gwen. Because you stay at home, you just let Gwen take map control and take the resources, and then after that, you just started running out of resources to make your own units. So you could have actually done like a mix of Baggins two-handed, CA, and maybe throw in a couple of Hassa in. Because once you break into Gwen's base and you kill an eco, it doesn't matter if it's Teuton boom, because all the villagers are dead. But yeah, so far looking at your eco, don't get hand cut so early. You normally want to get hand cut once you hit 60 bills. That's normally when you get hand cut. You're better off making more bills, because yeah, it's just the efficiency with the food and wood. And like I said, you already have 3 TC going. You can just make a lot of knights. You can just make a lot of villagers. So you really didn't need to get hand cut so early. But okay, I mean you get hand cut early. In fact, I would prioritize bow saw and heavy plow before hand cut, and you got hand cut first. But that's a slight macro mistake. I mean we all make that. We all make those. But next time, always lumber camp upgrades first. Whenever you get to the next age, lumber camp upgrades first, then food, then gold, then stone. Then wheelbarrow, you get it at 15 farms, and hand cut, you get it at 60 vills. Or more, depending on the state of the game. Usually, I'm so absorbed in creating vills that I don't really get hand cut until like I click up to imp, or yeah. There are some games where you have low eco, So I played a game just now when I was playing Portuguese. I clicked up to hand card at 50 bills, and that was only because of the distribution of my rest, not so much that I need to make bill count. But that's a
So
different story.
Ando is kind of
Yeah.
pressuring, looking for holes with just a few knights. What does Ando have at home? I decide again to like defend with the monks and send my knights around the far side. Ando spots my knights with the scouts, which I wasn't happy about. So knowing that like I've been spotted, I split my knights up here and send one around to the back and one around to the front. What is Ando? Is Ando still going into knights at this point, or is Ando trying to switch into something else right now? I only see
Right
like
now,
the few knights at the front.
Endo is switching to pikes right now, so the pike defense is going to stop the knights, and the pike defense is going to be better against the knights than his knights, because like I said, Teutons do have more physical armor, the melee armor, and currently you have more upgrades than his knights. So double whammy, you just have much stronger knights than him. So Bulgarians also get cheaper blacksmith upgrades, so this is actually pretty good for Endo. But like I said, because you keep Endo in his base, he cannot expand. He cannot take the gold outside his base. He cannot take the other stone power outside his base. He cannot take the gold on the external gold. So you see, there's gold to the north. There's relics. All these resources are resources that he does not have access to. So he's gonna be in a lot of trouble. So he needs to actually push out of his base and go out of his base and do damage out of his base. That's why I said that Endo's decision to turtle is not correct. It would work if he's maybe a Sith that can actually deal with Teutons. So Turks can deal with Teutons because they have hand cannoneer, they have camels, they have better Hussar. Okay, well, not better Hussar than Teutons, but basically Siths that have a lineup that can actually deal with Teutons, like Magyars. Magyars have fully upgraded CA that can deal with Teutons. What else has good? Koreans, Vietnamese, basically good archer Siths that can deal with Teutons. But Bulgarians, they only get CA, which can really deal with the Teuton army. Like I said, you will see later. Oh yeah, by the way,
I was really proud of the decision there to like stay under the castle fire, whittle down that palisade, and like I think I lost one knight, but I'm getting in. And okay, I'm throwing a little bit now, but I think I've got 2 knights in the wood line, and I'm doing a lot of eco damage right here. I was happy with this raid.
I would say that the knight raid here did a lot of damage, because firstly, he got up his TCs later than you. Secondly, you force him to stay on a defensive mode, because now he has to repair his walls, he has to rebuild his eco. What do you do then? You get stone, you take stone, and you start taking the resources around the map, you start casting the resources around the map. So right now, remember what you said earlier, you don't know when you have too much of one resource? Your resource count right now shows that you have 2,000 on gold. So any resource that goes more than 1,000, you need to start sending those bills to other resources. So if you have too much on gold, send it to food and wood. You have too much on food, send it to wood and gold. You have too much on wood, send it to food and gold. And when do you take stone? That's actually a very good question to ask yourself. When do you take stone? When you are about to click up to Imperial, send 8 villagers to stone.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing right now. No, okay, I prioritize the gold. I think I put my 3rd TC on the stone right here. So yeah, that TC probably should have gone to the stone. I don't.
A lot earlier. You really need to get on stone a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Because right now, right, your build count is looking quite healthy, and you already have hand cut. You already have bow sword, no heavy plow, which is a big mistake. But your Teutons, so it doesn't really matter as much.
There's
you
the
really needed to go on stone a lot earlier, because the moment you drop down the castle, right, you will have access to trebuchet.
Now, why? So Ando pulls back with his pikes, and I was in like I saw the pikes, and I was like, okay, well, my pikes versus his pikes, I'm going to win, but
yes,
Ando pulls back while when I really don't actually have the numbers out. Like, here's my first sort of like set of pikes.
Okay.
So why do you pull back, Ando?
I would say right now, right? Now Endo is clicked up to Imperial. at this point, Endo, this is when you should have started making CA. Because you were asking earlier, when should I have started? This is the moment when you should have started CA. When you click up to him, you would have access to all the CA upgrades, including Parthian Tactics, which are very good against Teuton Halberdiers. So at this point, you secure your goal outside your base, you secure the goal to the left of your base, which is good. Then, now you start making CA. And you put Halberdiers in front of your army. So all these siege workshops, good idea, bad execution. Why? Because you went rams. These rams are going to run across the map. And they will take about 3 minutes to reach across the map, unless they're fully garrisoned with pikemen. So you really needed to put those workshops forward, or you needed to pre-post drop your opponent, and then put the siege workshops around the pre-post, and then push your opponent from there. Because siege workshop, defensive siege workshop as I call it, is for defensive purposes. If you wanted to push your opponent, you need to put the workshop right outside your opponent's base. Like, you see the north where there's a 2-stone, you put your workshop there, you push into Gwen's base. And then you put a creep post there to secure the workshop as well. So that's what you needed to do here. Because you spend, like I said, you spend too much time trying to defend your base, you don't push your opponent, it's a big mistake. So, now we talk about the Baggins. Baggins here is good. And the reason why is, your opponent is not making Cavalier, and your opponent's not going to see that you make Baggins. Once the two-handed Baggins swordsman show up, you have about 3 minutes before your opponent makes a counter. And since Gwen is Teutons, she has Teutonic Knights, and she has Champion. So that's the counter. So you have about 3 minutes. Those 3 minutes is the amount of time that you have before Gwen makes a counter unit. So in those 3 minutes when she cannot react to the Baggins, you push forward with your siege. Like, you put your siege in front of your opponent's base, and you push with your... You later make, what, 40 Baggins two-handed swordsman? That's more than enough with the siege to push Gwen's base and probably end the game before she went into a counter unit.
Baggins gives the two-handed swordsman extra melee armor, is that right?
Yeah, it gives the two-handed swordsman 4 mini armor, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Now, that means that they will actually be able to resist most of what the Teutons make. The only thing they can counter, but Teutons has an answer to Baggins two-handed. They make Teutonic Knights and they make their own champions, and then they can counter. Champion has one more attack and a bit more HP. So combine that with Teutonic bonus. Teutonic champions counter Baggins two-handed swordsman, and Elite Teutonic Knight, which you make later.
I think so. Part of the reason why, and I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to stand by this, but I've done like testing of like Teutonic Halberdiers versus like average champions, and it takes like, you know, about like 3 Halberdiers to deal with an average champion of another civ because of the melee armor, and it's like you're still paying the gold cost for. I mean, this isn't a good fight. Like I've got all the Halberdiers there, but like
champions are actually a very good counter to Halberdiers.
Oh, absolutely. But like,
even though it's a gold unit, it's actually a very, very strong gold unit. It's just that it's a situational unit, and like I said, the situation right now calls for the Baggins two-handed. So like I said, your Endo is very convinced defending. All he needed to do was send the pikeman to defend his base. He has more than enough resources right now to get ready and push your base.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't, you can see castle north of your base. You have castle at the north of your base. You have TC on that go. Basically, you have map control and he doesn't. And when you have map control, you have access to resources. You're floating 2,000 food and 2,000 gold, and Endo is nearly spending all his resources. So you can see that because of that, right? Endo just cannot do anything. With
I really felt that like even with the two-handed swordsman out, and I don't know how well I had in mind about the Baggins tech. That definitely helps. But I felt that like I can outproduce Ando and trade like neutralize. So like I send halberdiers at him, and I take out some of his two-handed swordsman number, and he's not even on his forward gold. Like meanwhile, I'm making that. I guess what I'm saying is like that the halberdiers are going to allow me to buy time for a better counter. Like they're.
You also have to remember that right now Endo has less deals than you.
Yeah.
So technically speaking, you will always be ahead in trading, because he would have to spend resources to replenish his army, and those are resources not spent replenishing his eco.
So
right
so
now,
wouldn't Cav Archer, which you can skirmish away and preserve your army, wouldn't that be better here?
That's why I say the reason why like Endo really struggled here is if he tagged into Cav Archers a little earlier and he had a mass of cavalry archers, then there's actually very little that you can do against that, Gwen. The only thing you can make against
I agree with that
would be skirms and siege. But
Yeah.
once you run out of gold and he keeps his cavalry archer mass alive, then he pushes you down. Also, he didn't defend his base very well. Like I said, he had a lot of holes in his walls.
Yeah.
He really needed to.
I was trying to like keep up raiding pressure, but like again, I don't want these two-handed swordsmen reaching my base, so I felt like I'm throwing waves of halberdiers at them right now until I can get up enough Teutonic Knights, or like where are the pikes here?
So the pikes are actually defending home. That's why you don't see them here.
Okay, are they? No, I still don't see them.
Yeah, they just cleared up the knights at home.
Okay. But yeah, if he's just got two-handed swordsman, I think like Nightline is still an option.
Yep. Cavalier would be. Oh wait, actually no, not in this case. Because his dragon's two-handed. Oh wait, no, it's Teuton. Yeah, Teuton Cavalier could actually fight this. Teutonic Knights also can work, because I said he's not really making anything else, and he's like Endo is still on Pikeman, so Cavalier may not be the best option. The Teutonic Knights are actually okay.
Yeah.
The only problem is if Endo was able to tag into CA, but like I said, not being able to tag into CA here and not being able to get the resources to tag into CA. Like I said, if he secured the gold a bit better, if he was able to protect his resources a bit better, then he would have actually been able to tag into CA. He has a ball of CA. There's nothing that the Endo can do.
He's trying here with like a castle on the goal. I think another castle, but yeah, no, like you like me raiding with pikes. Here's halberdiers in the eco, because yeah, just causing more problems, and I think we've got like the whole Endo's full army retreating to deal with this.
The biggest problem in this game for Endo was really because he stayed in his base this whole time. You have 70% of the map, and that's gold, that's wood, that's stone that Endo doesn't have access to. So at the end of the day, it's not because of I didn't go CA, I didn't go. It's a multiple of things. It's him not being able to protect his base, him not being able to get the gold outside his base, him not being able to make CA to pre-counter the unit comp of the Teutons, him not pushing in late castle to kind of maybe get an edge, because he's going up against Teutons, which is going to have a better time in the in phase, just because he's going to have cheaper farms and more eco tags to play around with. Like this is really just a game where Teutons really shine because of how good their eco is. Like I said, Ghost Lake is a map that favors compositions that can go up to post in. But if you can do your aggression correctly, you could have ended the game before it hits post in like this. Like I played Mongols on on Ghost Lake a while back, and I went Man at Arms Towers Castle, and the guy went 3 TC boom, like a normal Ghost Lake opening, and then he died.
Yeah.
Because he cannot deal with the Mango die and the castle drops.
Yeah. I mean, can anyone deal with it? They don't have a counter.
The Mango Die? Yeah, I mean, the counter is not letting them get to Mango Die. That's the
I hate that. I hate that so much. That is so dumb. That defies all logic in AoE too. Oh, this is beautiful though. Oh, I love the melee brawl. And it's actually like doing fairly well. I don't think I ever get the Elite Teutonic Knight upgrade, which maybe would have allowed me to take that better. But I've got more reinforcements, and I'm just like every yeah, just the resources that is of course, you know what this stage is all about. And I can just run in here with the Cavalier.
What really helped you here was Endo couldn't make Halberdier for a long time because he was taken off goal. So only now he just got his Halberdier. And only the Halberdier can potentially fight a Cavalier. And like I said, because you have been raiding him this entire time, he cannot get the food that he needs to go for his resources. He cannot get the goal. So like this whole time, Endo just was put under pressure the whole time. But like in the early imp late castle phase, Endo still had a very good window to actually put the hurt on you.
With the two-handed swordsman and siege.
Yeah. So like he didn't even need to go to early imp. He could have just pushed in late castle. Like he just makes some pikes, he pushed forward. Like after he saw the knights, he got rid of the knights in his base, he pushed forward, he pre-posted you. He basically, like, Endo needed to be aggressive on this man. If he wasn't aggressive, right, then the only other save, if Endo was playing Sicilians, maybe defensive boom is...
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask, like, I think Sicilians would have been a lot scarier. Ando says he'll literally never do scouts on this map again, ever.
So, like I said, the only time scouts work on this map is if you do something like a Mongol scout opening. You do like a 16 pop scouts, and you keep your opponent's wall open so you can kill his vills inside. So, like I said, Mongols, Lithuanians, all these cities that can open up the wall and let the scouts in with an early scouts time. Those are cities that you want to do like scouts on this map. But generally, you either go FC or you go Man at Arms towers. But yeah, this is honestly quite a rough match to watch, especially because like you know both players are under a lot of pressure. You know that this is the 6th game of the series, so they're both pretty tired. So both players are going to make a lot of mistakes that they otherwise would not have made on a regular leveling session. So yeah, this was just a rough game to watch. But,
and that was the same thinking for me. Was that there's lots of sheep, so scouts would be a good play.
Yeah, so now you know that Man at Arms towers or FC is the way to go. If you're certain archer civs can actually get away with archer builds. So Saracens is good, Khmer is good because they get faster archers. They don't need buildings to click up. So you can actually go 19 pop Khmer double forward range and kill your opponent because that's what survivalists did. Yeah, basically this map is either really early pressure or go up to imp and slug it out. And, unfortunately for Endo, he should not have slugged it out. So if Endo was playing Sicilians, he just makes Cavalier and win the game. That's really all there is.
Yeah.
Sicilians.
Yeah, I think I was definitely scared of that, or Arbs even. I mean,
That's true. Teutons do not get good skirms.
They get terrible skirms, and I wish Ironclad was changed and made a better tech. You're even Sicilian yourself should have stuck with my guy Conrad. I was terrified of your Sicilian picks. In fact, I think I
think just not going aggression here was just a mistake because honestly, no matter what, right, you do have to go aggressive against Teutons because if Teutons are the one being the aggressor, because all their units are so slow. If Teutons are the one being aggressive, right, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because Teutons want you to stay in your base and then they just slow push you. Teutons hate being the ones defending because their army takes like a year to get from the left side of their base to the right side of their base. It's just very hard.
I love that. Like the game says that they're a defensive civ, but like, no, apply directly towards the enemy's base. You know, you don't need mobility if you're already in the enemy's base.
Yeah. The reason why Teutons are considered defensive civ is because of crenulations and their above average siege. But in order to get there, you will need stone, you will need a safe source of gold. And if your opponent knows how to take you off those resources, you can't really play defensive on Teutons. They have very good towers though. They probably have the strongest towers in the game. If you ignore the fact that Koreans get their castle age tower thing straight away, I would say that Teutons have the strongest towers.
Just because they can garrison so much into the towers?
Well, you have to understand that garrisoning more villagers inside the tower means that there will be 10 extra arrows on the tower. And that's more than the 5 you normally start with if you fully garrison the tower. So the tower rush will always beat any other civs. And because you can garrison so many vills inside that tower, when you vill fight, you just win every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you lose like 1 or 2 vills, you still have 8 vills in the tower that can shoot and kill the other players' vills.
I should try tower rushing just so I have a better understanding of it. But what's the build order for tower rushing? I don't even know. I mean, I imagine that you go like pretty heavy into stone, but like I don't know the details of it.
Okay, I can tell you right now, and you can maybe try it out next time. What you do when you play when you go towers is you open like archers, except that instead of sending your next 2 bills to go, your last 2 or 3 bills to go, you just finish all the food under your TC, and then once you click up to feudal, you send 5 villagers to stone. That's enough to keep making towers, and then you send 5 villagers forward to tower your enemy. Once you click up to feudal. And basically you basically have to do damage, or you basically have to slow down your opponent. Now if your opponent opens scouts, you can actually build a barracks before clicking up and make a few spears to stop the scouts. If your opponent's going archers, abort mission and don't go towers anymore. If your opponent's opening men at arms, you can still go towers, but you have to micro your villagers a lot. So yeah, towers, very very good opening. Especially against an opponent with very bad. It's basically a build order. So normally, like build orders look at comms and whatever. Tower rush is basically an abuse of the map. If your opponent has a resource that can be towered, you tower it. So you tower the wood line, you tower the stone and gold, you tower the berries, and when they cannot take all these resources, you just slow them down. And yeah, like that's basically what Endo did in AndotheCommando.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see it can do a lot of damage. But if you react correctly to it, like I said earlier, you counter tower correctly, or you batter down the tower aggressively, yeah, then the opening doesn't do as much damage. Yeah. The other thing is because you send 5 villagers forward and 5 villagers to stone, you are going to be very behind in eco compared to your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So if your tower rush opening fails, there is not much you can do. That's why civs that normally tower rush either have a bonus to their towers or a castle unit that they can use, because they can market abuse to click up to castle, and then they build a castle instead of a tower, and then they go full aggressive. That's why I say Koreans are good, because not only do their towers get upgrades, but they get a very strong castle unit called the War Wagon.
I would say so. Yeah.
Teuton castles may not have a good unit, but they have crenulations, they have Botkin arrow,
Mm-hmm.
and then they just kill everything within 13 range of the castle. What else? Like I said, the other civs, Burmese, Spanish can build things faster.
Mm-hmm.
Which sounds
Sicilians have like the fastest castle drop in the West.
Yep. But Donjon is such a weird thing to drop, because you basically, instead of 5 on stone, you need 8 or 9 on stone. So you're even further behind to castle than you otherwise would have. And then if you make sergeants out of your donjons, that's gonna be resources that you need to pick up. So yeah. The point is, when you do tower rush, right, you are exchanging your eco for your opponents. That's the best way to sum up tower rush.
Mm-hmm.
You exchange your eco for your opponents.
And hope you get the better deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't hope. You gotta put the effort into it. Because
Oh, hope alone doesn't work.
Hope alone doesn't work. I know.
Um,
I've tried. I tried going towers hoping for the best, and then I lose my 5 bills. I lose whatever bills at home to archers or scouts, and then I lose the game afterwards.
Well, don't do
Yeah.
that. Well, I'm
Yeah,
gonna go ahead and stop the recording here. I think that pretty much wraps up the Showmatch review. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for coming along, Ando. And thank you again for hosting and everything. It's been a lot of fun. The Showmatch was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed thinking about the match. And there is a certain intensity that you don't get from the ranked ladder, and the occasional bicycle ride too, right?
Yeah, I think that story that you told me is probably gonna be a memorable story for me. I couldn't stay awake during my show match, so I went out to ride the bike for a while. I never thought anyone would actually do that, but thanks for putting my perspective out on that. That was crazy, but it's really very effective. Because when I did my 24-hour stream, I was also thinking, how am I gonna stay up for the later part of the stream? I'm gonna do something.
Yeah, you didn't know. And no, the entire time I was playing the show match, I was actually on a bicycle. I have my I have a rig for my desktop. I mounted onto the front handlebars. But
You got a show chef that set up and said you won the.
I'll show you that setup. Just let me boot up Photoshop real quick. All right. Yeah.